very informal. On behalf of Jennifer, Scott, and Ken Jr., I want to thank you all for being here today. It means a lot to all of us who love Ken to see all of you here today.
Do you want me to come up here with you?
Sure. I'd also like to thank Jeff Anderson, our funeral director. Jeff's wife and daughter are out east visiting family today. He was supposed to be with them, but he set his plane tickets aside and stayed behind because Ken was his friend too. And he wanted to be here for Ken's friends and family. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ken. When I'm done, it will be your turn. If you have a Ken story, and I know all of you do, we'd love to hear it. 16 years ago, my wife Valerie and I were planning our second trip to Sturgis, the motorcycle rally. My brother Bob called and said he had a friend, Ken, at North Star Steel, who was looking for somebody to ride to Sturgis with. Bob told me he's kind of a character, but a really good guy. I mean, truer words were never spoken. I said, sure. And that was the beginning of the most amazing friendship in my life. Ken was an amazing, larger-than-life personality. His love of fun and laughter and life was irresistible. He was over the top about everything he loved, and he loved lots of things. He loved good food and curvy waitresses. He loved to go fast. He loved top shelf whiskey and fine cigars. He loved bonfires and fireworks, the bigger the better. The loudest booms and the roaringest blazes. He loved animals and stray dogs and cats and all the birds and squirrels he fed every day at his house. But most of all, he loved people. His family first, then his friends. And if his family and friends weren't around, he'd go someplace where he could find somebody to talk to. It might be Bugsy's or Buffalo Wild Wings or Stogie's, but someplace with people. Wherever he was, he had a knack for making friends. I saw him make a friend once at 130 miles per hour. We were riding to Sturgis together, doing about 95 miles an hour, which was only about 5 miles an hour faster than the flow of traffic. Ken was in front of me when we passed a group of riders in the right lane. One of them peeled off, not wanting to be passed. This guy zipped by me at about 110 miles an hour, but I knew when he got to Ken, the race was going to be on. They roared away. Ken opened it wide up, which on his Stratoliner, 1900 cc's, the biggest motor out there. He could do about 130. So they raced away at 130 miles an hour until they're stopped by traffic. And they both let off the gas, and then at 90 miles an hour, Ken and this stranger shook hands. We made so many friends together on the road. We were on a ride coming back from Florida, and we're doing about 95, and we zip past this guy, and he rolls out and he falls in behind us, follows us for about an hour. We pull over at a gas station, and he comes in behind us at the gas station. And we get to talking, and Ken, you know, he's such a charming, fun guy to be with. The guy rode with us the rest of the way to Missouri. We were on a ride out west, and we met this guy from the Ukraine. A lot of money, young guy. He had come to the United States and bought a V-Rod and was touring the United States. He was about halfway through a 6-month tour. We were riding Old Highway 66, and got to talking to him, And Ken says, well, you know, you're welcome to ride with us if you want to. And he did. So we rode together the rest of the day. And then at night we said, well, we're going to get a hotel room. You want to share a hotel room? And he said, sure. These two old guys, you know, we both got about a 4-day growth of whiskers. And we share this room. And this guy, like I said, he had some money. So he had a satellite connection for his laptop, which was very rare in that day. So he opens up the satellite, and now he's talking to his wife in Ukraine. And you can see he's got a magnificent house, huge high vaulted ceilings. And then through these floor to ceiling windows, you can see the mountains in the Ukraine in the background. And she is this beautiful, pretty young thing. And then she looks and she sees Ken and I in the background of her eyes. It's like, I don't know what she said to him, but I'm pretty sure the initials WTF were in there somewhere. So I told Jennifer, I sent her a bunch of pictures, and I told her, you are going to see pictures of Ken standing with people that you don't know. And that's because so often when we were on a trip, somebody would come up to us and say, can I take my picture with you? And so Ken would say, sure. He'd send him on the motorbike. He'd throw his arm around him. We got a picture with this whole family from Japan. And I wanted to get the picture taken in front of the entrance to Bryce. Ken made the trip to Sturgis with Valerie and I a dozen times. He was going to go with us the year that Norm died. And of course he stayed back for the funeral. And the rest of us were at Sturgis complaining about the fact that it was not going to be the same without the life of the party there. And then two of the women got an idea, and those two women will remain nameless. But they took a picture, which I will leave it to your imagination what that picture entailed. But they sent it to Ken, and he jumped on his bike the moment the funeral was over and rode straight to Sturgis. At night, in the cold, his teeth chattering the whole way, so he could be there in the morning when the sun came up. No matter how many hundreds of thousands of people gather there, Sturgis is going to feel very empty without Ken. If you were friend or family, Ken was always there for you. For years, he talked about making a trip to New York to find his brother Doug. Every year, it was becoming more urgent to him. He felt like time was running out. And I told him, Ken, there are almost 20 million people in New York. How are you going to find this guy that you haven't had any contact with in 40 years? And Ken said, I know, but I have to try. So he goes out there with hardly a clue as to how he's going to find this guy. But in some ways, Ken led a really charmed life. He's in New York having breakfast, and Ken being Ken, he's going to talk to the waitress. And she says, what are you doing out here? He says, I'm looking for my brother, Doug Albrecht. And she goes, I know Doug Albrecht. So, wow, huh? And so she calls Doug, because she doesn't know Ken, and asks Doug if she can give Ken his phone number. And Doug agrees. So he calls Doug and finds out that Doug is in a hospice with a week left to live. There's that sense of urgency that Ken knew. He had to be there. So Doug he wanted to visit Doug, but Doug was a devout Jehovah's Witness, and he didn't want Ken to visit unless Ken agreed to read some book. Well, reading religious books was not Ken's idea. So he said, no, I'm not going to do that. I just wanted you to know that your family never forgot about you. And that was the kind of guy Ken was. Ken ate life up in big, enthusiastic bites. When we were in China with him, they'd have these little sort of taxis called tuk-tuks. It was basically the front half of a motorcycle welded to a set of wheels big enough for two people to sit on. And you paid these guys by the trip, not by the minute. And so their goal was to get you to wherever the hell you were going as fast as they could possibly get you. And I remember one time, Valerie and I are in one tuk-tuk, and Ken is behind us in another one all by himself. And these guys are weaving through traffic in an insane way. Valerie has a death grip on my wrist, and I'm grabbing the seat as hard as I can to hang on. We finally pull in front of the hotel, and I'm thinking to myself, thank God we made it alive. Ken's tuk-tuk pulls up behind us, and he goes, "That was fun! Let's go again!" If he liked something, he raved about it and wanted you to try it, especially food. If he had a good meal, he wanted you at the very least to see a picture of it on Facebook. He said his body was a finely sculpted temple and that it deserved nothing but the best. When he started coming to our house, the best was Corbel XS brandy. So we learned to have plenty of it on hand. Otherwise, we'd hear, "You're out of Corbel? Jesus Christ! Well, what else do you have?" After a few years, Jameson became the best, and then Crown Royal. In a way, his love of the best made everyone around him feel special because we knew he was over the top about everything he loved, especially the people he loved, like Jennifer, Scott, Crew, and Ken Jr. And Linda. He knew, like many of us husbands do, that he could have been a better husband. Some men in that situation will try to ease their conscience by focusing on their wife's faults. He never did. He always praised her as a great wife and mother. I pointed at their wedding picture once and kidded Ken that Linda was out of his league. He shook his head and said, "Oh, you should have seen her." Those are my stories about Ken. It is time for you to share yours. Now, before we do that, we're going to sort of figure out who all is here. If you are a member of the Albrecht clan, raise your hand. If you are a North Star Steel buddy of Ken's, raise your hand. Good, thank you, gentlemen. Super Value. Anybody here from Super Value? If you are a member of the Brat family, raise your hand. If you are a neighborhood or childhood friend of Ken's, raise your hand. If anybody would like to come forward, member of the Brat clan, member of the Albrecht clan, I know you have stories. We'd love to hear them.
That's okay.
Great.
Hey guys, wow. So Ken, he was kind of like a second dad to me. You know, when I look back, there's a group of elders, people that were really just super authentic. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I remember one time we were at a Chili Fajita bike ride, and we're in line, waiting to get some chili. This attractive woman in front of us, she turns to me, I'm gonna sanitize it. Check this out! And she, what? And it's like, turn your hearing aids back on. And he just, no filter whatsoever. And just brutal honesty, and I always just admired that because, you know, when we deal with people, we try to behave and try to, you know, be nice and, I don't know, accommodating, but he's just like, what you saw is what you get, and that's so rare and so honest and brave, and I really just admired that about him. And you know, we probably all have stories about him being rambunctious, right? He was always like, whenever he was in a situation, he was like one of the main characters. And I think I might have even emailed this to you, like, you know, there's people, and I'm sometimes one of those people, you know, I'm in a party and I might just be hanging out doing my thing, but there's always like the main characters, right? And if they're ever there and someone's talking about that party, you know that person's gonna be brought up for their shenanigans or whatever. You just know that they're there, right? And sometimes you feel like an extra compared to those guys. And he was one of those people. But on the flip side, he was also really kind, and for his bravado, he could really be gentle too. And I remember we had a tough time with Penny, just a tragic accident. My dog was run over, and I was just furious because this person didn't even, you know, they stopped and then they took off and just left her there. And we had this experience where we were bringing her to the vet. Yeah, and I was just, man, I was fuming. I just wanted to kill somebody, you know. I couldn't believe that happened. And she had told her dad, and he just came over with a 6-pack and just sat quietly. And in that guidance, like, you know, have that elder there, that person, that calming influence. It made all the difference. And for all the wild stories, I mean, he was also that guy too. And I'm really, like I said, the world is a better place with your dad in it. And so I'm so happy to see that he touched so many people that are here to celebrate his life. And so thank you.
Good. While he's making his way up here, I'll say, I'm talking about Ken being loud. The last thing you wanted to do was try and shush Ken. Because he would go, oh, am I